Hey, what is it, guys? This is Thunderstruck115, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on Black Ops Cold War Zombies as it is at launch. The game launched on November 13th, 2020, and I am giving my thoughts on this 8 days after its launch. I wanted to give myself some time to get acquainted with the game and really explore all the aspects of it, at least all the ones that I can. Now, I wouldn't say this is a comprehensive review simply because first impressions can change pretty easily, so yeah, I'm probably going to do a more in-depth analysis after the DLC cycle. This is just my thoughts and opinions as they currently stand. Anyways, let's get into it. First, I'm going to talk about what I liked about Black Ops Cold War Zombies. Let's start with the map, Dia Machine. I love this map. I'm not sure how it would rank among the other maps. I probably need to play it more to really do that. But it's still a really nice map. Something that I like is how it balances casual and hardcore fan appeal. You see, what I consider to be a map that appeals to casuals is one where you can easily get all the basics done without looking up a guide. So, guns, perks, pack-a-punch, and power. If you could do all that without a guide, you could play a normal game of zombies on it and it caters to casuals. But the thing is, it also doesn't sacrifice appeal for more hardcore fans, as there's a lot of stuff to do on the map. Part of this is because this map kind of adopts the notebook system from World War II Zombies map, The Final Reich, but instead of guiding you all the way through the main quest, it just guides you all the way up to getting Pack-a-Punch, and I think that's a really nice compromise. This way, it makes it so I don't have to look up a guide to figure out how to Pack-a-Punch, because the guide is in the game itself. And I was able to figure it out and do it really easily, like on my second or third game. The only reason I probably wouldn't have figured it out on my first game is because I died before I even got to the power. But yeah, the guide is helpful. It points you in the right direction, and anybody who can read can easily get the Pack-a-Punch done. And beyond that, that's basically what you need to really enjoy the map. Compare this to something like Shadows of Evil in Black Ops 3, which was the only on-disc map, and I mean, yeah, the game made it clear that you needed to do 4 rituals, but it basically left it up to you to figure out how to do it, and almost required a guide for you to figure it out. I sure as hell needed one, and at the time I had 5 years of zombies experience under my belt, so compared to that, Dia Machine does a really good job of making sure that casual fans can easily get the progression they need to enjoy the map. But it also has a bunch of hardcore shit for more hardcore fans to experience. For example, there's the free Wonder Weapon Easter egg, the trial system, and of course there's a main Easter egg, and 4 upgrades for the Wonder Weapon. Speaking of the Wonder Weapon, I love it. The Die Shockwave is really fun to use. It functions kind of like an electric thunder gun, but with less range, but it doesn't have a lot of ammo, but you can get more ammo by literally sucking it from the zombies. It's kind of like if you took the thunder gun and the jet gun, mixed it together, and made it good. It's just basically what it feels like. Like the jet gun on its own sucked, but having it as a secondary function to get more ammo for a primary fire that's very effective and satisfying to use, now that is an awesome Wonder Weapon. But of course, there's also 4 upgrades for the Wonder Weapon. There's an electric upgrade, a fire upgrade, an ice upgrade, and a poison upgrade. Now, I haven't gotten the electric upgrade, so I can't speak on that, mainly because of how hard it is to get, but I've gotten the other 3. I really love the Nova upgrade. It's really cool. It feels kind of like a mixture between the Magmagat and the Hand of Charon, if that makes sense. And it's really effective and fun to use. The Ice Shock, the Ice Dot, I forget the name of it, but the Ice upgrade, it basically gives the Die Shockwave an Ice Beam. I don't find it to be as effective as the regular Die Shockwave, but it functions differently and is nice. The fire upgrade I'm not a huge fan of because it just feels like a downgrade across the board with the exception of ammo. Like, I just can't kill as many zombies as I can with the base wonder weapon. And of course electric can't speak on that because I haven't done it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It basically takes the Der Eisendrache approach to the elemental wonder weapons of having one base weapon that has 4 upgrade paths. And with the exception of the electric upgrade, they're all fairly easy to do. In fact, the electric upgrade might even be easy if you didn't have to do everything in one Dark Aether run. And speaking of which, that's another mechanic in Dia Machine, the Dark Aether. I'm not sure if this is going to be consistent across Cold War Zombies as a whole. It kind of looks like it is, but it might just be exclusive to Dia Machine. It basically transports you to an alternate version of the map in the Dark Aether. There's like these plasma jellyfish in the sky, there's crystals which you can break, which can give you points, equipment, and other goodies. The Mayak will spawn here instead of the Megaton zombie, and it looks really cool. Sadly, they didn't really take it as far as I wanted them to, but at the same time that might just be because I haven't done the main Easter egg yet. Apparently the Easter egg is pretty basic to some of the ones that we've had since Black Ops 2, 3, and 4. But at the same time, I'm not really a big Easter egg guy, so I don't know. It doesn't seem to be offensive in any way, though at the same time, there isn't a boss fight at the end of it. It's basically just a glorified exfil from what I'm hearing. So yeah. Still, I'll probably check it out at some point. Additionally, this game also has a cool equipment system. So when you kill zombies, they'll sometimes drop salvage, which you can then take to a crafting table and craft different kinds of equipment and score streaks. And overall, I think it's a pretty cool system. Additionally, sometimes zombies will just straight up drop the equipment itself. This happens fairly common. You can stack multiple pieces of the same lethal and tactical equipment, but you have to swap them out for different ones if, say, like, you have frag grenades, but then the C4 drops and you want that. Overall, it kind of feels like a more refined version of the equipment drops in Infinite Warfare Zombies, and I'm a huge fan of it. And I really like the way that they balance the score streaks. Like, when I initially saw the trailer and that there was going to be a chopper gunner in Zombies, I was skeptical because I figured that might just be a bit too overpowered. But I'm pleasantly surprised. They did a really good job of balancing these things. Like, there's also a high-grade salvage, which is what many of the score streaks actually use, and it's pretty cool. Additionally, the salvage can also be used to craft armor, as well as upgrade the rarity of your guns. The armor more or less functions as a replacement for the shield in this game, because as far as I know there isn't a shield in this game, but rather it reduces the damage that you take from zombies when you get hit as long as you have it, but also depletes the armor a bit more every time. And of course you can repair the armor with salvage, and much like in Black Ops 4, your armor will be restored to full health if you pick up a Carpenter power-up. But unlike Black Ops 4, even if your armor is completely depleted, you'll still get full armor. Now, granted in Black Ops 4 it was with the shield, but it's basically the same principle, and it means that the Carpenter power-up is still useful. There's 3 different rarities of armor, but it doesn't replace Jug. Jug is here, and overall, I do like the new perk system. It's very similar to the old perk system, but this time around, there's no perk limit, which in my opinion makes it better than Black Ops 4's system. Now, if you watch my Black Ops 4 Zombies review, you'll probably recall that I actually preferred the Black Ops 4 system over the system in World at War through Black Ops 3 because of the fact that crutch perks were moved from the perk system, so they don't take up perk slots, so you can run what you want instead of what you necessarily need. But now that there isn't a perk limit, this means that these crutch perks like Jug, Speed Cola, Quick Revive, and Double Taps in this game, but anyways, they don't take up perk slots because there are no perk slots. You can just have as many as you want. So, this, in my opinion, makes it even better. In this perk system, there's currently only 6 perks, and the way the pricing works is instead of each perk having its own specific price, they start at 2,500 points, and then each perk after that costs 500 more, so like say if you buy Jug first, they'll cost 2500, but if it's your last perk, it'll cost 5000. This first confused me because I swore that the perk prices were changing every single time, particularly Elemental Pop, but ever since I figured out how the pricing works, it makes more sense, and I actually quite enjoy it. We got Jug coming back, as well as Speed Cola. Quick Revive more or less functions how it did in Black Ops 4, giving you faster health regeneration, in addition to allowing you to revive teammates faster, but it doesn't function as a self-revive in solo. Additionally, we also have Stamina coming back, and Deadshot as well. And we also have one new perk, Elemental Pop, where it gives you random elemental damage types every so often. Kind of like the double pack abilities, but they're more random each time, instead of being one specific one. Field upgrades are more or less the replacement for specialists. Instead of being a weapon, they're just an ability. So there's Frost Blast, Healing Aura, Energy Mine, Ring of Fire, and Aether Shroud. Personally, my favorite is Aether Shroud, though I did upgrade Frost Blast first because for like a fucking long time that was the only one I could upgrade. They're useful, but they're not batshit overpowered, so I have no problem with spawning in with them. Additionally, you can also choose your starting weapon now. Now, when I first heard of this, I was skeptical because I figured, oh, if I can spawn with like a souped up weapon, like it kind of ruins the early game progression, but no, it doesn't. Like with the score streaks, I'm pleasantly surprised at how well Treyarch was able to balance it. Like, they're all useful in the early rounds, but they quickly drop off. You can use the classic M1911 if you want, but you could also use an SMG or an assault rifle, and in my opinion, the power difference is so small between them that it's really not noticeable. Additionally, DM Machine has a trial system. It's literally the exact same thing as the tribute system from Ancient Evil. You pay money to start a challenge. The better you do it, the more your reward increases. You can grab a common reward right away, or you can choose to do more challenges to upgrade it. I liked it in Ancient Evil, and I like it here. Also, new mechanic, the exfil mechanic, is really nice. So basically, at the end of round 10, as well as at the end of every 5 rounds after that, you will be given the option to exfil. This option will go away after a few minutes, so if you want to exfil, you gotta really commit to it, or you'll have to wait another 5 rounds. I like this because of the fact that, say you don't really feel like high rounding, maybe you just want to get to a certain round and then exfil, you can do so. But people that still want to go for high rounds can do so because it's not required. In co-op, I believe everybody has to hold X on the exfil mechanic, or at least the majority of people do. It'll spawn a bunch of zombies. You gotta get to the yard where Quick Revive is and kill all the enemies and get to the chopper before time runs out. And if you successfully exfil, you'll be given extra Ethereum crystals to use for upgrades, which I'll talk about in a second. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of with the exfil mechanic is that if you run out of time, the game just ends anyways, whereas there's really no reason to. Personally, I would have much preferred it if a failed evac just meant that you had to wait another 5 rounds to try again. But instead, the game just ends. Weird. Well, I guess it's really not that big of a deal, because I guess if you're going to exfil, you probably are ready for the game to end anyway, so I guess there's that to consider. Additionally, there's a cool new upgrade system. Now, every milestone round, you will be given an Ethereum crystal, once on round 10, and then every 5 rounds after that. Now, these can be used to upgrade perks, weapon classes, field upgrades, and double pack-a-punch abilities. And it's really cool because it adds a nice long-term progression to the game. Now, the only issue is that if somebody joins in later, they're going to be much more underpowered than someone who's been playing for a while, even if they have equal skill. But I still think that it's a really great way to incentivize replaying the game. Overall, I'm a huge fan. Finally, there's the new Pack-a-Punch system. It takes the multiple repacking from Black Ops 4 and changes it just around a bit. Instead of packing it once for 5,000 and repacking it 4 times at 2,500 points each to increase the damage, instead there's 3 tiers of Pack-a-Punching. First one for 5,000 points, then 15,000 points, and then finally 30,000 points. Each level will greatly increase the damage, but there is an issue that once you Pack-a-Punch, it basically decentivizes changing guns later because of how expensive it is. In fact, it's even more expensive than it was in Black Ops 4, so there's that to consider, but overall it's pretty cool. Additionally, I like how you can select your double pack ability separately from just regular Pack-a-Punching, and you can choose which one you want, instead of having to repack over and over until you finally get Brain Rot. You can instead just select Brain Rot and throw it on your gun, and you can do so at any time. In my opinion, this is probably my favorite iteration of the repack alternate ammo type abilities in Zombies. It's better than it was in Black Ops 3 and in Black Ops 4. And finally, there's the new rarity system. Each gun has its own rarity level. The higher the rarity, the more the damage, as well as the more attachments. Now, the box will give you random ones, while weapons will usually give you either green or blue rarity, with there being one purple rarity sniper in the power room. I haven't checked that one out yet. Of course, you can upgrade a lower rarity weapon to a higher rarity weapon at the upgrade station using salvage. Upgrading is pretty expensive, and usually it's easier to just get a higher rarity weapon out of the box. I really like this system because it encourages people to go use the box, whereas in Black Ops 3 and 4, there really wasn't much reason because you could easily get a super powerful weapon off the wall, just as, if not more powerful than ones you could get out of the box. But for most weapons, you can get like a purple or even a gold rarity weapon out of the box, and it would be even better than wall weapons. Additionally, I also hear that the ray gun is actually a lot more useful in Cold War than it's ever been. Unfortunately, I can't really say this for myself because, well, I just can't seem to get the fucking ray gun out of the box no matter how hard I try. Apparently, you can get it as a reward from the dancing zombies with the box Easter egg, but I've never gotten it. I've usually just gotten the purple or orange rarity weapon, or the wonder weapon, the Die Shockwave. You can still use the box to share weapons, just like in Black Ops 4, by knifing it, and picking up a weapon from the box will cause you to actually drop the one you're currently holding on the ground, meaning any of your teammates can pick it up anyways, so the weapon doesn't go to waste. I thought that was a pretty cool mechanic, though the weapons do despawn after a while. That about sums up my positives. Now let's get into the negatives. Where's the split screen? Okay, hang on. I feel like if I start talking about this right now, it's just going to put me in such a bad mood that it's going to cloud my judgment for the rest of the video, so I'm just going to throw a timer on screen, and when that elapses, I'll start ranting about it. Okay, so, negatives. The point system. For some reason, Treyarch decided to stick with the shitty point system from Black Ops 4. If you watch my review series, you'll probably recall that was one of my biggest criticisms of it, because the older point system actually encouraged strategy and using weaker weapons, and to reward you for being able to survive with worse weapons, you'd be able to progress faster. However, like in Black Ops 4, points are capped at 90 per kill. However, headshot and melee kills only give you 115 points instead of 120 and 150 respectively. So, if anything, this is inferior to Black Ops 4's point system, because at least in Black Ops 4, it did give you points at a decent rate, whereas I feel like I just don't earn points as fast as I really should in Cold War. And, of course, if you damage a zombie but your teammate steals your kill, I don't think you get points because you're not awarded the points until after you get the kill. This really makes it annoying if you spawn in after bleeding out on like round 15 or so, because it makes it harder to get points if you have a shitty gun that can barely put a dent in the zombies. Although, to be fair, you do spawn with 12,000 points if that's in that case. Forgot to mention that in the positives, but at the same time, because of how much everything costs in Cold War, it isn't as much as you'd think it would be. Second, the Megaton zombies are just absolute bullet sponges. Now, my only problem with them currently is their absurd amount of health. I think if they were just a bit easier to kill. They'd probably be a great addition to the boss roster. I like the cool mechanic of them, like, you kill it, and then it splits into two slightly weaker but still dangerous enemies, and then you kill them both. But the fact of the matter is, as they are currently, they just take way too many bullets to actually kill. Another thing I don't like is the lack of content in the game is very low. You know what we have? One map. If you don't like DM Machine, or if you get bored of it, well, you're gonna have to wait for the DLC, because that's the only map in the game at the moment. We haven't had only one map at launch since World at War. The closest we've gotten to this was Black Ops 3, where Shadows of Evil was the only on-disc map, but at least you could get the Giant if you spent an extra $50 on the Season Pass. But I guess there is something important to notice here. All post-launch content will be free and will arrive at the same time on all platforms, so a year down the line, this really isn't going to be as much of a big point as it is now. But at the same time, it would have been nice if they launched with a second map, maybe one that's less complex. Hell, I would have even taken like a Noct remake. They basically had to rebuild Noct for Cold War to make DM Machine, so I don't imagine it would take that much time to just rework it a bit to do a remake of the classic Noct. Maybe integrating the newer mechanics might be a bit more difficult, but they do have the new Wonder Fizz mechanic. And then they could just throw in a couple crafting benches for the equipment and score streaks. It would not be like a one-to-one version of the World at War Noct from a gameplay standpoint, but it would at least be something. Additionally, there's no extra game modes. I would have liked to see Grief Mode or Rush Mode make a return, but they're absent. Now, looking at the Season 1 roadmap, it does say that there are going to be more game modes added to Zombies, but it doesn't say anything about a new map, so it looks like we'll just be stuck with DM Machine for a while. But maybe we'll see Grief or Rush make a return later. Oh, wait a minute, I stand corrected. There is another mode at launch. If you're on PlayStation, Zombie Onslaught. Yeah, I don't really know too much about this because I'm on Xbox, but the whole PlayStation exclusivity for a year is fucking bullshit. Apparently it takes place on multiplayer maps and there's two-player co-op. That's basically all I really know about it. It's exclusive for a year on PlayStation, but if Survival Mode in Modern Warfare 2019 is anything to go off of, it's probably gonna suck anyways. So yeah, that sucks, but yeah, there isn't even custom mutations like there was in Black Ops 4. Like, Black Ops 4, like, they were cool, but they were pretty rudimentary and not taken as far as I would have liked, and I would have loved to see them flesh it out a bit more in Cold War, but no, they just abandoned it. Like, whether you love or hate Black Ops 4, you gotta admit, it did have quite a lot of launch content. 4 maps, 3 of which were on disc, Rush Mode, and custom mutations in addition to a rich progression system. Now, there is Dead Ops Arcade 3, if you even consider that to be Zombies content. Personally, I've always thought of Dead Ops as its own little side mode because of how radically different it plays from normal Zombies. I mean, a top-down shooter is way different from a first-person shooter, so yeah. Even with Dead Ops, though, the amount of content here is just so pitiful. Now, granted, Treyarch originally thought they had 3 years to develop this game, but then they got cut short to 2, and then, of course, I don't think the pandemic helped either, but still. But, again, this is only a complaint for now. Years down the line, it's not going to matter, because all post-launch content is going to be free, and you won't have to worry about buying DLC, so the community will be more united than it's ever been. And that's really something to laud. Additionally, I feel like the XP and weapon XP rates in Zombies are just too low. Like, I swear I level up much faster in multiplayer than I do in Zombies. Now, granted, the unified progression across the game does help matters, but at the same time, like, I could survive to, like, round 30 and I'd only increase by, like, 1 level, whereas I could, in 2 or 3 matches of multiplayer, I could go rank up like 2 or 3 times. And of course the weapon XP rates are not kind to Zombies either. This is especially annoying when you're trying to grind for camos in Zombies because they are locked behind levels, and there's really no reason for that to be a thing. And additionally, you can't even apply camos to your weapons in Zombies with the exception of the one you start with. And chances are you're not going to keep that for long. Yeah, you can upgrade the rarity of it and pack-a-punch it, but the fact of the matter is, around round 7 or 8, it's probably going to be replaced with some stuff off the wall or in the box. Now, I'd understand the traditional weapon kit system from Black Ops 3 and 4 wouldn't translate well to the rarity system, but it would have been nice to at least have a menu where we can set camos on each gun. That way there's more of a reason to grind it out, because literally the only other reason is to show them off in multiplayer. Or just the feeling of pride and accomplishment of getting the Dark Aether camo, which does admittedly look pretty cool, but it doesn't even cover a lot of the gun. And of course, there's the bugs. It's a Call of Duty game released after 2015. You can't release a new COD game without a whole plethora of bugs. Now, it's not nearly as bad as Black Ops 4 or Halo MCC were at launch, but still, there's quite a few of them here. Sometimes in a co-op game, it'll ask me to choose a class. I'll choose it, only to be given custom class 1 out of the default, even though I picked something different. I think they patched this, but also, when you go into the skills menu to spend Ethereum crystals on upgrades, when you select the weapon kits upgrade, half the time, the game just freezes for like 30 to 45 seconds before finally loading it, and the other half of the time, it just crashes the game and sends you back to the Xbox dashboard. In fact, this meme that I made describes it perfectly. Graphical glitches are also present. Some people have issues where if they go down with the ray gun and then self-revive, they'll be restricted to just one weapon for some reason. Sometimes when people exfil when playing solo, all the zombies will just run away and they can't kill them. And when the timer runs out, the exfil fails, which ends the game. For some reason, when I'm trying to play with my friend, I'm on Xbox One, my friend's on a PS4 Pro. For some reason, he can join me, but I can't join him for some reason. Like, I expected there to be a couple of hiccups, but the amount of bugs goes beyond what I just listed. There's probably plenty more that I forgot to mention or just haven't even heard of. And yeah, I get it's bound to have issues at launch, especially with the pandemic making development harder, but this is well below the standards of a $60 game. Well below that of a $70 game. And yeah, if you want the next-gen console versions, they increased the price for some fucking reason, despite having no reason to do so. Hey, Treyarch, Activision, ever heard of Xbox Smart Delivery? Many developers are taking advantage of this and giving them the next-gen upgrade if you have the previous-gen version at no additional cost. Why can't you do it? Now, granted, this is a cross-generation game, and I'm sure performance is much better on next-generation consoles, but on base Xbox One, the performance just definitely isn't all that great. The frame rate wildly fluctuates. In fact, going to the Dark Aether absolutely murders the frame rate that makes it hover what appears to be between 20 and 30 FPS, with other frame rate drops occurring for what seems like no reason. Now, of course, my friend's PS4 Pro doesn't seem to have this issue, but still, if you're playing on current gen, this is probably a bit annoying. Also, the intro cutscene chugs for no apparent reason. Now, this is more noticeable in the campaign, but in Zombies, when you first boot up Zombies, you'll be given this short little cutscene with Maxis going to, like, the phone booth, and, like, the first part of the cutscene just absolutely chugs. The audio's fine, the video is just playing super slowly, until like 3/4 of the audio plays, and where the rest of the video just goes like fucking lightning. Even the intro cutscene for Dead Ops Arcade chugs for no reason. Why? Is it being rendered in real time and the console just can't handle it? It doesn't look like it is. If it isn't, and it's performing this bad, then why not just make it so it's a pre-rendered cutscene on current-gen consoles and save the rendering in real time for PC and next-gen consoles because they can actually handle it? But since Zombies isn't really cutscene heavy, this is not that big of an issue. In the campaign, yeah, it's a pretty big issue, but this video is focused more on zombies. Still, hopefully these issues do get patched in time, and I'm sure that down the line, these probably won't be as big of an issue, especially as next-gen consoles become much more commonplace. If you just fix the bugs, make some tweaks, and add more content, Black Ops Cold War could easily become just as big, if not bigger, than Black Ops 3 was in its prime. And that's saying a lot. So yeah, overall, despite some issues, I think Cold War is a pretty good game, though there are some issues that need to be addressed. But I'm sure they will be in due time. But they just had to fuck up split screen. How did they fuck it up? Well, simple. It's not in Zombies at all. Why? Okay, every single previous Zombies game has had at least 2-player split screen in Zombies. Hell, even Black Ops 2 managed to do 4-player split screen in Zombies on the goddamn Xbox 360 and PS3, despite the fact that Black Ops 2 was already pushing the hardware. So I don't think it's asking too much for 2-player split screen to be in Zombies. But it's not in here at all. It's almost as bad as Spec Ops in Modern Warfare 2019 not having split screen, but at the very least, that game basically told you right from the get-go, hey, there's no split screen in Spec Ops. It basically just told you that if you had a split screen lobby and tried to select Spec Ops, whereas in Cold War, oh, you can go into the Zombies menu, you can go ahead, add split screen players, and it won't say a goddamn thing until you start the game, or at least try to, and then it will just give you this message, oh, remove all the split screen players from the lobby. Well, why did you let me add them in the first fucking place? Now, you could try and excuse this as, oh, well, since it's a cross-generation game, the Xbox One and PS4 are already being pushed to their limits, and therefore they just can't run split screen. But if that was the case, then obviously the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 versions would have split screen. But they don't have it either. Why is it that the Xbox 360 and PS3 could do 4-player split screen in Zombies at the end of their life cycle in a game that was already pushing the hardware, and yet despite the fact that we have brand new consoles, and this game is practically, might as well be a launch title, it's only 3 days after the Series X launch and 1 day after the PS5 launch, and yet they can't do fucking split screen on the goddamn game? It's not like this new engine can't support split screen at all, because there is split screen in the multiplayer, so why is it so hard to add it to Zombies? Like, yeah, obviously, I noted performance issues earlier, obviously it wouldn't look or run as well, but that's true of literally every single fucking split screen game ever since it first became a thing! Do you think the people who played GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64 or Halo Combat Evolved in the original Xbox complained too much about low resolution and frame rate and split screen? No, I don't think they did, because they were too busy having fun with each other and their friends and family. And yet they don't even have the fucking option. Not even when playing in local mode. If you want to play co-op with your family or your friends, you gotta buy another copy of the game and another PC or console to play it on. Honestly, I seriously considered getting the PC version of this game, because my PC could actually run the game a lot better than my Xbox One could, and I figured that, you know, it'll probably be a better long-term investment for when I inevitably get a better PC, but I decided to get the console version of the game so that I could play split screen with my brother. That's literally the deciding factor, and that you're telling me I can't Treyarch. What the fuck is wrong with you? Did I just break one of my controllers in frustration? No, I just threw something at the wall. It wasn't a controller, it was just a pair of needle nose pliers. Anyways, overall, I'd say Black Ops Cold War is great, but buyer beware. If you're planning on getting this game for split screen, don't. Seriously, they really need to fucking patch it in real soon. But as it currently stands, there isn't. So if you're considering getting it on console specifically for split screen, don't. Just get it on PC. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like and subscribe for more. And tell me what your thoughts are on Black Ops Cold War Zombies. Anyways, that's it. Peace!